Hey everybody, welcome back to Passover Listings. I hope everyone's getting ready for Pesach, which is coming right around the corner. So we're going to do something fun today, and we are going to have a little bit of a virtual wine tasting with Liquid Kosher. So he's about to jump on, special guest here coming on. So feel free to jump on, and if it's the evening by you, if it's the midday and you want to have a glass of wine with us, feel free. We'd love to have you guys, cheers and have a l'chaim with us over here while we do a virtual wine tasting. So hang tight for just 2 minutes as we get a special guest added on here. There we go. Okay. So, how are you?
Hi. Good.
Okay.
Exciting.
So welcome to Passover Listings live chat. Again, guys, thanks everybody for jumping on and joining us with a interview with Andrew Breskin, the owner of Liquid Kosher and the Cellar Club and the Wine Cellar Club. We're gonna have some fun today. So we're gonna first off get to know a little bit about Liquid Kosher and what they offer, and a little bit about Andrew himself, who happens to be also a wine sommelier as well.
That is true. Yeah, that is true.
And then we'll drink some wine. So that's
Let's do
great.
that.
So Andrew, thanks for jumping on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank
Coming
you
on
for
here.
having me. It's been great chatting and getting to know you and the Passover Listings family. You guys doing some great work, and happy to spend this time together.
Great. So why don't you tell us, like, first of all, I love the name, Liquid Kosher. That's awesome. It can mean so many different things. Obviously, you guys are, a beautiful wine company. Talk about maybe, like, first off, how long has Liquid Kosher been around? Tell me about you. What made you want to be a wine connoisseur? Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you. So Liquid Kosher has been around for over 10 years at this point. I started in the wine business almost 20 years ago, which is kind of crazy to hear myself say that, but it feels like every day is like a new thing, so it's interesting. But I started actually in the non-kosher world. I was working in restaurants. I was a sommelier, serving people. I was doing private collections, helping people stock their massive wine cellars, buying and selling wine collections, um, all that kind of stuff, retail, etc. And then when I got the kosher bug myself, I decided to take my business along with me and make it my business and my goal to have the kosher world drinking the same quality wine as the rest of the world, because I was exposed to some pretty high level, high quality wine. It was really a great experience. I was tasting at one point probably about 400 wines a month,
Wow.
really expanding my palate, and that's the only way to learn is just by tasting. So I was in a
Wow.
position where I was able to taste like crazy, and when you do that, like, you learn a lot, and you learn a lot about yourself and what you like, and it's really it's a
So,
tremendous experience, but not something that most people get to do.
yeah, so when you're tasting like 400 wines a month, I mean, this is like reds to whites, different flavor, dries, reds, semi-dries. You're literally going across the gamut and getting your palate, um, you know,
Yeah, I mean, it depends on who you're working for. You're tasting with the goal of having a wine, fit a certain criteria on a menu, on a wine list, or for an event. So, that many wines per month is like tasting, 15 per workday, something like that, plus
right.
or minus, and in the evenings and whatever else. So, it is a lot of wine, but it's not all at one time. So
Yeah,
you get to build up to it. But you're tasting. You want to see what's going to work with certain dishes and certain foods and whatever
right. You
else.
want to
But
pair it. You
yeah,
want to pair it up.
and
So,
also you have to fill in certain price points on a menu too. So you
right,
have to get the best wine that sells for $15, or the best
right,
wine that you can sell for $15 a glass or whatever.
right.
So you taste objectively, and it's a great way to learn about yourself and your own preferences. And sometimes, the $10 wine is better than the $100 wine, and that's just the way it is sometimes. And
Wow.
sometimes vice versa. Yeah.
So what makes, like you said, high quality wines? Like I never, I love wine, don't get me wrong, but what makes like a high quality wine? What's the parameters there? Like high
Yeah,
quality versus low
I
quality.
think it's almost like anything else in the sense that you can have something that's inexpensive and high quality, and something that is expensive and low quality.
Hmm.
Quality in wine is about, is it produced from fruit that is, from a place that is good at making that fruit. For example, when you think apples, you think Washington apples, New York apples, stuff like that. No one's thinking like, Los Angeles apples,
Right,
because
right.
like, sure, you can grow apples in LA, but it's not what you're doing in LA. You're doing other stuff. But when you get the fruit from the place that nature has intended that fruit to do well, it's going to be head and shoulders above similar stuff.
Right,
You know,
right.
so if you're
So
already
so
in the conversation of like we're getting good wine from like say Northern California, okay, so
mhm,
you're already one step ahead of like maybe just some random spot somewhere else, not to throw any one region under the
right.
bus. And then high quality barrels and winemakers who are paying attention, and that's the foundation of good wine that you can have at any price point.
God. And so like talk Pesach for a minute, right? Like how does wine differ between like all year round and Pesach, right? Like is Pesach wine, right, kosher for Pesach wine like different in any shape or form, or is it just blessed a different way? Like what's the kind of the nature of making sure obviously wines are kosher for Pesach, and how do you tell like which kosher for Pesach wines are a little bit better, a little bit more mid tier, things of that nature?
Right, right. So it's a good question. I think that it wasn't always the case that all wine is kosher for Passover, but these days, with the nature of the industry and how people are drinking wine year round, I think it just made sense. At one point, they said, okay, all wine's going to be kosher for Passover. I think it has to do with the yeast.
Got it.
The yeast has to be extracted from a non chametz source, and then from there they can ensure the wine's kosher for Passover. And naturally, wine is kosher for Passover because it's just grape.
Right.
However, once if you're in a place where they're making other stuff and bottling other stuff, then you have problems there. But
Gotcha.
I believe most kosher wine is produced as kosher for Passover.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know that that was always the case. But today, I believe that's the case. As far as which wine to choose for Passover, I mean, really, it just comes down to personal preference, your audience, what you're eating. I know that for me, like I can't at the Seder, like the first glass of wine after a long busy day, and like I'm not reaching for that big heavy cab to drink a whole thing, and then
Uh-huh.
that's not. I need something personally a little bit lighter just to kind of warm up. But I've seen people who will just take
Go for
down
the
that
cab.
big heavy cab,
Got it.
at the first glass, and
So
and yeah,
so so that's so that's interesting. So what would you recommend? Like if someone's going, having a Seder, what would you recommend they drink for their first glass of wine? If, lighter and then kind of going to second glass and third glass.
Yeah, everyone's got to know themselves,
Yeah.
for sure in that regard. I think that for a first class, maybe something like a rosé, something a little bit lighter, or a white wine, or even it gets a lot of something sparkling like a champagne maybe.
Right.
Champagnes tend to be lower alcohol, even though they're high flavor. Champagnes
Hmm.
tend to max out around 12%,
Gotcha.
and these days 12% is on the lower side of alcohol in wine. So something a little bit lighter, kind of get the mood going, and then once you've got
Right.
some food happening, that you can
Go a little
ramp it
heavy.
up with a big red. Yeah, for
Nice.
sure. Yeah.
Nice. So let's talk like liquid kosher, right? You guys been around for like a long time, and how many types of wines do you guys have, and like what levels of wines do you have? Talk a little bit about liquid kosher a little bit.
Yeah, so Liquid Kosher is a little bit different than most other kosher wine stores because we're focusing on exclusively boutique wineries from family or boutique wines from family-owned wineries around the world, that are all produced in small quantities. And then when we bring them in, we bring them in exclusively. So when you find a bottle of wine from Liquid Kosher, it's not going to be something that you can find on the shelf somewhere else necessarily.
Oh,
So
that's
it's a little bit of
interesting.
like it's almost like we're operating like a winery, but it's not our wine. It's the wines that we make with our partner winemakers. So all boutique family wineries, and we put them in our quarterly wine club that goes out to lots of folks. And
Right.
And so, when something goes in the wine club, like when you get your box,
Yeah.
we're not just grabbing stuff off the shelf. Like it's stuff that we've been working on for years in some cases.
Yeah.
To put those relationships together, to make those wines and then have them brought over, just so they can end up in the wine club box. So it's every
I like that.
wine club box. Yeah, every wine club
I
box.
like how I like how it's it's exclusivity with different families, right? You kind of bring, and I got to say, I mean, even the packaging is great. I mean, just for everybody, you get this really, really cool, like when you're drinking the wine, you get these really cool envelopes and reading material really about the wine you're drinking, which is really nice. Talking about it.
So I think that you get like a letter. So I write this letter, and then every box comes with like a check sheet about how the wine was made, why it was made a certain way, etc. I think that you enjoy more when you know what you're enjoying.
Exactly.
And,
at least for me, yeah. Absolutely.
It's always better, and everything's exclusive, but at the same time, exclusive doesn't always mean good. I think it's exclusive because it's made in small quantities and it's in high demand, and fortunately, keeping a lot of people happy with the wines that we're releasing, and very proud of all the wines that we offer.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I'm getting a little thirsty here. Let's obviously we'll go with this one over here. This one first. This bottle.
Yeah.
Which is Echo. Hopefully, I pronounced it right. De Roses Camille.
Yeah.
2016.
Yeah, perfect. So I've got that open here too. This is a 2016, and this is the 1, 2, 4, 5, fifth vintage of Echo that we've brought over. This is actually, I call this wine my baby because I started this relationship with this lovely winery in Bordeaux called Rose Camille, and which you say better in French, but I'm not French. But it's a small family-owned estate in Bordeaux. The owner is not Jewish, but he just had this conviction to start making kosher wine. It was like the craziest thing. Yeah. And so he has a vineyard that has been in his family for 3 generations. It's about 90 years old. The vines are like that old.
Wow.
And making an exclusive kosher production from that vineyard. And this Echo is the first wine that we kind of came up with together from a different vineyard that is also part of the family. It's a Bordeaux vineyard. It's from Pomerol, which is like the Beverly Hills of Bordeaux. It's a small neighborhood in Bordeaux.
Yeah.
Very exclusive, and the Echo is a first class wine.
Yeah. So it's from, you said, France, right?
Yeah. Bordeaux is in the southwest corner of France.
Right.
And it's divided into 2 main regions: the left bank and the right bank. The river runs through it. And this is from the right bank of Bordeaux. And in that right bank, there's a small neighborhood called Pomerol. And that is where this wine is from.
Wow. Just the level of detail that you know exactly right bank, left bank.
I can tell you, I've done this for people. If we were sitting next to each other, I can pull up Google Maps and Google Earth, and I can put my finger on where this wine came from. Like
that's
literally.
Amazing.
Like,
that's amazing.
I can show you like on the thing like this. It's from like zoom in here, like see that, and that's
great.
The wine's from. Yeah.
So tell me, you're a wine connoisseur, wine sommelier. You've done a million wine tastings probably across the world. I'm not a huge, so I have my glass right here. What do you swirl it? You smell it, right?
It looks like your glass is missing the bottom half over there. That's a pretty trendy wine glass. Those are so cool. Yeah. It's like, those are so good, and you should show that. Let people see that. See, I got the normal wine glass, and you have like the cool wine glass because you're Passover Listings. Like, how many times have you had your kids at the table and you're like, oh my God, don't knock over the wine glass?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't have a single one of those glasses, but I really should, because I don't think a week goes by that we don't smash one of these beautiful
exactly.
wine glasses. Yeah,
absolutely.
I think you're onto something. I think you're onto something over there. But what I do, so this one I opened before the show. I like to give it a swirl, and basically, I mean, genie in the bottle, right? It's the wine's in there. It's tight. The wine is a living, breathing.
Smells really good. By the way.
Yeah, it does smell good. It's a living, breathing thing, and when it's trapped in the bottle, it's got to stretch its legs a little bit, So you open the cork, pour some in the glass. just let it move around because you have to incorporate some oxygen into the wine. Get the stink out and the air in. And when the air goes in, then the aromas come out. When I smell this wine, I'm smelling like fruit, like cranberry, cherry, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm also getting this like a lot of like sort of walking in the garden, in the rose garden, some like floral.
Yes,
aromas.
I smell that floral thing. Yeah.
Yeah. The region is actually kind of famous for the aroma of violets, which I don't know. Like, I haven't smelled a violet recently. I don't know if you have, but I can imagine that they smell very fragrant.
Yeah.
There's actually a vineyard that's next door to this guy called La Violette, which is, I assume, French for violets, because of that aroma. So very, very floral. And that floral aroma is sort of typical for this neighborhood. See how it works with wine is every region, and then what makes wine interesting and what makes the education about wine so important is that every region has its characteristics that make it special.
Okay.
If there's nothing special about the region in terms of what makes it different and unique from something else, there's no point in isolating that as a wine-specific region. So this comes from a place called Pomerol, which has very specific clay in the soil. The blue clay has lots of iron deposits in the soil, the metal, so you can see it. And has all kinds of like rocks, and other parts of Pomerol have like special kind of a sand. What's interesting is like you go to the store, the clusters on your grapes, like usually green, right? When growing, like the stems.
Yep.
But this vineyard has a special sub-clone of grapes that has red clusters. Yeah.
Oh, really?
So it's like a unique thing. Yeah, so you wouldn't know that unless you were there, and it's crazy,
Yeah,
so
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Does that make the wine like taste or smell different because of the color, or is it just more of like a cool different aspect of
it's a great
region?
It's a great question, because if you think about it, you go to the store. I love metaphors. Okay, so
I'm ready.
And I'm picking on apples a lot today. So if you don't like apples, you'll excuse me. But like you have red apples, yellow apples, and even in the red apples you have the Gala and the Delicious and the Fuji. Like there's a reason that the top 10 or whatever apples are in the store, because they have unique identifiers that make them taste different than the other apple,
Right.
And so all these little differences and changes, they cause something to take place in the wine that gives a different flavor or whatever. So in this region, it's the combination of the special vines, the type of soil, the specific weather in this little pocket. And I don't know about where you live, but where I live, when I drive 10 miles towards the beach, the temperature drops 20 degrees. And you don't have to drive 10 miles. Sometimes you can walk around the corner and there's different kind of a wind pattern or whatever. So just the way that this vineyard lies with the sun and the hill and the soil and these fancy grapes makes the wine the way it is,
Oh my gosh. I feel like I think this is the most I've actually learned about, wine in general. This is I didn't realize it gets down to that granular level of all that. If I don't drink this, I mean,
go ahead, have a swirl. I'll just talk
while you're drinking. I'm gonna take a sip.
Yeah, go ahead. We have a wine that is from this vineyard around the corner. It tastes like night and day. Like they're literally around the corner. Yeah, this is a lovely wine. It's very smooth, and our bottles have been open for like half an hour, something like that. I promise you that tonight when you're having dinner, it's gonna be a different bottle altogether.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. How long do these last? Like, if I mean, do I have to finish it in one going, or if I want to have it, tomorrow? That's
a great question. I think that the answer is it depends, like everything else. When wine is open, you get your friend oxygen gets in the bottle, starts opening up that fruit. Sometimes after too much oxygen, the wine starts to kind of die out a little bit.
Got it.
So for a wine like this, this is a high-end wine. It's a retail of $79 that we're drinking here today. So this wine, like if you drink half the bottle, you put the cork in it, it should definitely last till the next day, no problem. Other wines that are less expensive might oxidize faster.
Yeah.
Because it's just less there.
That's a great. It's really good. I love it.
Yeah.
I might get a case of this. Um, I'm serious. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a huge wine drinker, but
Well, you know what you like.
I like the fruit, that those fruity flavors that has that floral, piece to it, that component that's not too um, dry.
Yeah, you don't want it to be one dimensional.
Right,
You want to
right.
have your fruit, and we love fruit. You want to have your
Yeah,
tannin, that puckery sensation in your mouth, and then you also have to have acidity. Acidity
yeah,
is, it just helps you clean your palate and not have too much of that wine residue left over. It has to be
yeah,
balanced. You got to have it
yeah.
all, and a lot of
Got
these
it.
wines have it all for sure.
So let's talk. So this is awesome. I mean, this is really like for me. I mean, this is such a nice education, such about wine. But let's talk about like the wine club, and frankly, like if people want to buy a case, buy a case of 4, buy a case of 6, 12, whatever it may be, or even for Pesach, right? They want to bring a case, with them to a Pesach program. They want to bring it to their home. How do they do that? So talk about maybe the wine. Yeah, talk about a little about that. To how can they
Yeah.
go ahead and do it?
So great question. Lots of ways to work with Liquid Kosher. The easiest way is to sign up for our quarterly wine club seller.
Okay.
All you do is sign up one time, and then you get a box of wine every quarter. We don't ever charge anybody for anything until they know about it ahead of time. Every box is 4 bottles of wine, usually a nice mix of 3 different wines, and we double up on one of them that we think is extra special. And then we send it out, and then we give you the option to add stuff in or to customize a little bit. It's
All
actually
right.
pretty cool how you get to interact with your club box before you get it. And then every box is around $250. And then we have all kinds of stuff. Members get a 10% off in the online store year round.
Oh, nice. And the 250 bucks, just quickly, that's how many bottles in the box?
That's 4 bottles, all in delivered. Yeah.
All in delivered. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And then members get 10% off year round in the online store. So you can order whatever you want, whenever you want, get a discount.
Mm-hmm.
Members get free shipping on cases,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty cool because shipping is super expensive of a 45-pound
Yep.
box of pleasure.
Yep.
And then we are starting to have some events. It's going to be actually a really cool year for Liquid Kosher. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, if you want to take wine, a lot of people do take their own wine to the hotels because they want to make sure, not that some of the programs don't have good wine. I'm sure some of them just are not catering to wine people yet, but people, we can ship wine to the hotel. We can ship wine to you, whatever combination of that
Yeah.
works.
There's a lot of people out there that love having their own wine, with the own specifics,
Yeah,
flavor as well.
especially people because if you're not home, you don't have any of your own stuff. So a great way to have a little bit of your own stuff at the hotel is to bring your own wine and labels that you like, labels that you're familiar with.
Yeah.
It's a nice way of sort of making a communal thing more personal, and also more delicious for sure.
Got it. And if let's say programs, there's so many programs out there, literally like international, European, Mexico, U.S., right, Caribbean, South American programs. How do they, if they need, they want to bring in your wine, is that easy too? How would they be able to do that?
Yeah, we make it pretty easy. Program operators could just email me, sales@liquidkosher.com. We have a wholesale menu, and we're able to deliver to various places wherever your staging places for your program, and incorporate a nice mix of high-end wine, and really wine at different price points for your guests at those hotels.
Right.
We get it to you, and then you put it on your truck and get it to your final destination. So
That's great.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
a nice way. It's a nice way for like a small investment to have a VIP option for those people who are the wine people. And typically, if you think about it, if you're running a program, it's going to be those the father or the mother who are going to get together and make the decision for where the family is going for Pesach. And those are also the people who tend to be the wine lovers.
Yeah.
So for a small investment of having a half dozen bottles of high-end wine at your program to make that person happy, sometimes that can even seal the deal to make sure families going to your program that you're not.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I've seen it happen. It's a real thing. And it's,
well, you've been on. I mean, I know you've been on a ton of Passover programs. Speaking of Pesach and Passover programs, you do a lot of wine tastings, right? On
yeah.
Pesach programs, Right.
I've been really fortunate to go on some fantastic programs over the years, and it's always a pleasure. I do wine seminars, usually with my own wine that I bring, or wine that the program happens to have on the menu.
Nice.
Topics can be, how to taste wine, food and wine pairing, wine and cigars, something more like deeper, higher end explanations of certain wine, comparative tastings. We've done all kinds of crazy tastings and had a lot of fun doing so. And
I'm sure it's a lot of fun, like interactive, right? Where people can ask some kind of questions and get more educated on the wine, what they're drinking.
Yeah, people do. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun doing the tastings, and it's been a great thing for sure.
Got it. Well, anything else to add before we peel off here?
I think it's just great to, wine is such a great hobby because it really connects people from different backgrounds and different life experiences, and you get to. I had a tasting in my house for some clients that from around the country, and I want to see, like, hey, if I invite these people from the East Coast to my house, like, will they come? And everyone said yes. Like, people flew in from all over the place, and it was really cool because all different kinds of walks of life, but their connection was the wine, and people exchanged phone numbers and stayed in touch. It was really cool to see that. It was really cool, and it's all about the journey together, the learning of wine. I tried this. Have you tried it? I tried this with this dinner. It was really good. Like, that connection that people build with each other is super cool. And wine people look out for each other, and wine people know how to have a good time. And,
they bond. There's a bond. There's a bond.
There's definitely a bond. But wine people know how to have fun, and especially over Pesach, like on Shabbos and the holiday, some people are not going on the tours and whatever else. Like, you're maybe a little bit more homebound over those days as opposed to other days. Great way to spend 3 hours on a holiday is to do a wine tasting. It's educational, it's fun, it's killer. So I highly recommend it.
There's going to be a lot of wine tastings this Pesach. So first off, thanks so much for jumping on. This is great. I love the education. I love the wine. I'm definitely going to have this bottle tonight with some nice dinner. So thank you for that. And again,
you'll really enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, anybody interested, checking Liquid Kosher, which again, such a catchy name, right, out there. liquidkosher.com, and you can always email Andrew Breskin at sales@liquidkosher.com as well. You can find them also on PassoverListings.com. We will be posting this video across all of our channels. And again, Andrew, thank you so much for joining. And l'chaim. We'll see you.
To you. Yeah, thanks for all your hard work. This is an awesome, great time. And we'll catch up soon.
Great. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.